It appears our working styles just aren't compatible. Starting tomorrow, there's no need for you to come in, I declared, feeling I had reached my breaking point. I couldn't continue working under such leadership any longer, so I made my decision on the spot. Understood. I'll tender my resignation effective immediately. Thank you for the opportunity, I replied calmly, though inside I lamented leaving a job I once cherished. As I adjusted to the hectic pace of my days, a new clerk approached me with news of a visitor. Curious, I made my way to the reception room, where I found Samantha waiting. John, please reconsider returning to our company, Samantha implored, surprising me with her humility. Gone was the stern, demanding figure I once knew. My name is John Baker, and I have been dedicated to our boutique couture shop in this small town for 20 years. Despite its couture label, our clientele for bespoke items has diminished, prompting us to expand our offerings to include suits, shirts, and even school uniforms to sustain our business. Despite the changing landscape, I've always cherished our shop for its strong community roots and values. However, the atmosphere shifted when our long-standing president fell ill. He was the visionary behind our establishment, but as his health declined, his granddaughter Samantha Smith, with no prior industry experience, assumed leadership. While the transition occurred smoothly, Samantha's approach to management left much to be desired. I found myself particularly singled out by her harsh scrutiny. Samantha, how are our sales faring recently? I urge you to secure new contracts promptly, she demanded, clearly irritable. I've been actively seeking opportunities, but it's challenging to attract clients interested in culture. The decline in demand is evident, and our traditional couture model is facing challenges, I explained, attempting to provide context. However, Samantha's response was unforgiving. I don't want excuses. It's not a matter of impossibility, it's a matter of effort. Until you bring in new contracts, merely servicing existing clients won't suffice. I expect you to expand our client base, she retorted with a heavy sigh, leaving little room for discussion. Don't assume you're here indefinitely. Spend more time networking outside. Don't return until you've clinched a contract, Samantha commanded, rising from her seat, her designer bag and impeccably tailored suit serving as symbols of her authority as the company's president. However, her penchant for spending work hours at spas and salons eroded the respect of her employees. Taking a break, Miss President? We have a 3:00 p.m. meeting regarding the uniforms, I interjected, only to be met with Samantha slamming her bag onto the desk with a resounding thud. A break? Let me make this clear, our president doesn't take breaks. It's frustrating to be lumped together with regular employees. Opportunities can arise unexpectedly, and it's crucial to maintain a visible presence. Think before you speak, she reprimanded sharply, before briskly making her exit, the glimmer of her ostentatious diamond necklace almost blinding in its brilliance. As the lunch break commenced, I hastily devoured my meal, reminiscing about the days when leisurely lunches were the norm before the previous president's departure. Since Samantha assumed control, the luxury of idle chatter and shared takeout had vanished. Instead, there was an unrelenting emphasis on performance metrics and contract acquisition, with Samantha often remarking, "If you have time for lunch, you have time to sell." It was a stark departure from the camaraderie we once shared, leaving me wistful for those bygone days. However, sentimentality must take a backseat today. Amidst my packed schedule of client visits, securing a new contract is imperative. While skipping pleasantries with established clients could potentially increase sales visits, I remain steadfast in my belief that nurturing personal connections is paramount. There's a unique joy in collaborating with trusted tailors and selecting couture pieces together, fostering a sense of trust that transcends mere transactions. It's these enduring relationships that compel customers to invest in our culture for their special occasions. Despite the pressing time constraints, I ensure to extend genuine greetings to our suppliers and loyal clientele. Visiting the home of an elderly customer who had entrusted me with her granddaughter's wedding couture, I inquire of the recent nuptials. The warmth in her recounting of the celebration and her satisfaction with our couture fills me with genuine happiness. When she entrusted me with her other granddaughter's wedding attire, it was truly a moment of joy. As the day unfolds, the dwindling time leaves little opportunity to pursue potential clients, resulting in a lack of new contracts secured. With the clock striking 2, I reluctantly begin my return to the office, knowing I must hurry to make it in time for the impending meeting. Each step feels heavier with the weight of unfulfilled expectations. Upon my return, Samantha's probing words greeted me, igniting a sense of dread. Her assumption that I must have secured a contract due to my absence from slacking off left me speechless. Samantha's presence, unusually early for once, seemed to amplify the tension in the room, threatening to unravel my composure. My hesitant response only seemed to exacerbate Samantha's displeasure as she kicked the desk, her voice escalating in frustration. "No results? You're becoming a liability to the company. Perhaps it's time you started looking for a new job. There's no shortage of skilled individuals, unlike someone in their 40s with no discernible talents." Her words stung, fueling my irritation as I reluctantly shared the modest progress I had achieved. Despite the positive feedback from a client who expressed interest in utilizing our services again, Samantha's reaction was far from encouraging. "And when will this potential sale materialize? How many items? At what price point? Is this a one-time occurrence or a recurring agreement?" Samantha's interrogation continued, her tone devoid of warmth or understanding, further deepening my frustration. "Listen, you seem to confuse socializing with sales. Sales isn't complete until the product is delivered and the invoice is sent. It serves us no purpose to inflate the significance of your casual conversations and boast about them." Though I felt the urge to retort against Samantha's assertion, the reality remained that I had failed to secure any new contracts. Determined to prove her wrong, I resolved to redouble my efforts and secure a contract the following day. As I began organizing for the impending meeting, Samantha unexpectedly interjected. "Change of plans. I have an appointment to attend, so let's postpone the meeting report until tomorrow," Samantha announced, already preparing to leave. Caught off guard, I couldn't help but question her decision. "Wait a moment, I was under the impression we had a meeting scheduled for today. If we don't confirm and proceed with the orders now, we risk missing deadlines. Your presence as the president is crucial. Is this appointment truly unavoidable?" I queried, met with an unmistakably irritated expression from Samantha. "It's an important dinner engagement. I don't have time to spare on this matter, so I'm leaving now," Samantha asserted, her tone brisk as she made her way towards the exit. Just before departing, she turned back to address me. "Remember, your job isn't finished after the meeting. Once the orders are placed, go out and secure at least one new contract. And don't expect any overtime pay, so give it your all," Samantha remarked with a hearty laugh before exiting, leaving behind a puzzled meeting attendee who had expected the president's presence. However, I managed to reassure them and salvage the situation. In our small-scale company, trust is paramount. This was a principle instilled by the previous president, who led by example, always attending sales meetings and diligently overseeing deliveries. It was this commitment to service that garnered trust from our community, sustaining our business thus far. Yet lately, I sensed a decline in that trust. Determined to restore it, I resolved to handle the situation with integrity and secure orders as usual. After seeing off our business partners and gaining their understanding, I immediately began preparations for further sales visits. "I'll be stepping out for a while, so feel free to leave when you're ready. Thank you all for today," I announced to my colleagues, eager to take proactive steps towards rebuilding trust in our company. It was already nightfall, the workday long over, as I exchanged greetings with a few remaining colleagues before embarking on my sales rounds. The following day, I arrived at the office with renewed vigor. The previous day's cold calls had yielded promising results. I had engaged with a potential client interested in revamping their company's uniforms. Though not a major corporation, our conversation flowed smoothly, culminating in the agreement of a contract on the spot. While the initial order only encompassed summer apparel and winter sweaters, the prospect of nurturing this client relationship could lead to lucrative opportunities, including renewals and referrals to other businesses. Aware of the potential of such connections, I felt buoyant, anticipating a positive report to Samantha. However, my optimism was short-lived. Samantha, who arrived slightly late, summoned me immediately. "John, don't we have a report from yesterday's meeting? And I want to hear about your subsequent activities." "Certainly, I'll provide the report now," I responded, approaching Samantha with a sense of eagerness. Yet, upon reaching her, I noticed her rubbing her temples wearily. "Are you all right? You seem unwell, Miss President." "Just proceed," was her curt reply. A faint odor of alcohol lingered in the air, indicating she had indulged until the early hours and was now feeling the effects. Seeing Samantha in such a state left me incredulous. Despite my astonishment, I succinctly recounted the events of the previous day. We proceeded with the order as usual for this year. There was some negotiation on price, but they understood that it wouldn't change moving forward, and then... Wait a minute, they requested a discount, didn't they? And you resisted, insisting on raising prices, Samantha interjected, her bloodshot eyes fixed on me with intensity. No, that's not the case. While we ideally would adjust prices to account for inflation, given that we're offering similar products to other companies, it's challenging to implement such changes without impacting their profit margins. Unfortunately, they weren't receptive to that idea, I clarified, bracing for Samantha's reaction. Infuriated by my response, Samantha lashed out. That's precisely why they're taking advantage of us. We need to assert ourselves like they do. What's your plan? It's not about their profits. Our profitability should be the priority. Though she held the title of president, I couldn't align with Samantha's viewpoint. While assertive negotiation is crucial, prioritizing one party's profit over the other can be detrimental, particularly in intercompany transactions. Recognizing that further debate would only escalate tensions, I proceeded with my report from the previous day. We'll reassess the pricing structure moving forward. Additionally, I'm pleased to report that we secured a new contract, I announced, hoping to garner at least a modicum of approval from Samantha. Not bad. What's the projected profit margin? Samantha inquired, displaying a faint glimmer of interest. We've acquired an order for summer clothing and winter sweaters from a small-sized company with a few dozen employees. While it's not a monumental contract, it represents a promising foothold for potential future opportunities, I explained, eager to highlight the potential for growth. However, Samantha's response was disheartening. Is that all? And it's not even culture? It seems your efforts outside of regular work hours have yielded little. Truly disappointing, Samantha remarked, her words piercing through my optimism. At that moment, I felt a surge of frustration and disillusionment wash over me, reaching my breaking point. Excuse me, but it seems you misunderstand the nature of this job. It's the relationships and connections we cultivate that drive our success. Not just immediate profits, I asserted firmly, challenging Samantha's narrow focus. Though taken aback by my boldness, Samantha quickly reverted to her usual haughty demeanor. Understood, it appears we're not compatible. You needn't come in from tomorrow, Samantha declared, drawing a decisive line. I had reached my breaking point. Continuing under such leadership was untenable. Understood. I resign effective today. Thank you for the opportunity, I responded without hesitation, knowing that I couldn't continue in an environment that disregarded the importance of meaningful connections. With that, the decision was made for me to leave the job I once loved. Alone in the empty room, I grappled with uncertainty about my future. Despite leaving abruptly, I had nowhere to turn. My modest salary had left me with little in savings, and the prospect of financial instability loomed large. Then, unexpectedly, a familiar name flashed across my smartphone screen, Tom Wilson. We had attended college together, sharing fond memories and occasional outings. Though our interactions had dwindled in recent years, the call from an old friend filled me with hope. Long time no see, how have you been? Tom's voice carried warmth and familiarity, offering a glimmer of comfort in my moment of uncertainty. Indeed, it's been too long. I'm doing well. You sound great too, John. Tom greeted me warmly, though his next words cast a shadow over our conversation. How's work? Knowing you, John, I'd imagine you're excelling as a capable leader with a strong support network. It's a bit complicated. I've actually been unemployed for a while now, I confessed, feeling a pang of disappointment even in Tom's sympathetic response. Despite his usual upbeat demeanor, Tom seemed momentarily at a loss for words. It's been challenging, I added, trying to lighten the mood. It must have been tough. Let's not dwell on it over the phone. How about we meet up for drinks? It's a sudden invitation, but what do you say about today? Tom proposed, and I eagerly accepted. The prospect of catching up with an old friend was a welcome distraction, and I felt a deep-seated need to confide in someone. We settled on a pub we used to frequent and agreed to meet later that day. I was taken aback, you clashing with the president and leaving the company in such a dramatic fashion. You used to avoid conflicts at all costs, always quick to apologize even when it wasn't warranted, Tom remarked, genuinely surprised by my recent upheaval. I was surprised myself, but I couldn't reconcile with the new president's approach. It's one thing not to understand the intricacies of fieldwork, but disregarding the needs of clients and partners entirely was a deal-breaker. I explained, grateful for Tom's receptive ear. Despite years of distance between us, I was comforted by the familiarity and openness of our conversation. "Did you always work in sales at that company?" Tom inquired, delving deeper into my professional history. Sales was certainly a big part of my role, but I also dabbled in website development and attempted to introduce new products. It was enjoyable, but unfortunately, budget constraints hindered our progress. I explained to Tom while showing him the company's website on my smartphone, proudly revealing that I had created it myself. "Did you really design this? I assumed it was outsourced." "It's just as professional as any other site," Tom marveled, impressed by my handiwork. The previous president emphasized the importance of a website that would appeal to younger demographics, so I dedicated myself to learning. While couture is undeniably beautiful, the industry is facing challenges. I had to think outside the box, I elaborated, recalling the efforts I had invested in the project. "But with our company's size, there are limitations," Tom observed, leaning in attentively as I continued. "True, but I had ideas that I wasn't able to fully realize," I confessed, seizing the opportunity to share my aspirations with Tom. "The demand for everyday culture may be declining, but there's a growing need for attire for special occasions and social media appearances. By focusing on these niche markets and catering to inbound demand, I believe we can chart a successful course forward," I explained passionately, articulating my vision for the future. Indeed, I had aspirations beyond just culture. I envisioned introducing high-quality leather goods under our brand at a slightly lower price point. Offering consumers affordable yet luxurious products would not only be appreciated, but could also yield substantial profit margins. "We can't rely solely on thin margins to sustain our business," I explained to Tom, elaborating on my vision for diversification. Tom listened intently, his arms crossed as he contemplated my words. "So, was it the lack of initial investment, or did you abandon the idea due to insufficient funds?" "It was a combination of both, along with the current president's strong opposition," I admitted. She argued that a culture shop shouldn't stray into other ventures. I understood her desire to preserve the legacy of the previous owner's cherished culture shop without deviating from tradition. However, it's becoming increasingly difficult to resist the inevitable changes brought about by time and the declining industry. I had hoped to inject new ideas into the company, but they weren't well received. Finishing his beer in one gulp, Tom turned to me with a serious expression. "John, how about joining my company? I'll offer you a fixed salary equivalent to what you were earning, plus commission on sales. It's a pretty good deal, don't you think?" His eyes held a sense of determination. I was taken aback by Tom's offer to join his company. I had known he was running his own brand as a sole proprietor, primarily online without a physical store, but I never imagined he could afford to hire someone like me. When I expressed my surprise and sought confirmation, Tom chuckled and reassured me, "You underestimate me. While my main business operates online, relying on outsourcing alone isn't sustainable in the long run. It's time for expansion, and I believe bringing you on board is the right move." He leaned in, whispering the impressive turnover of his store and his monthly earnings, leaving me in shock. The amount he made in a month far exceeded my yearly income. "So, I'm looking forward to having you join us. I'll be counting on you starting next week," Tom concluded, and we agreed to formalize the contract later, sealing my employment at his company. Upon joining Tom's company, I wasted no time in making an impact. I revamped the website, making product searches easier and more intuitive. The result was a tenfold increase in page views almost immediately. Additionally, I introduced suits and leather accessories to augment the range of products, which had previously consisted mainly of t-shirts. The quality and usability of these new additions were well received, and positive word of mouth quickly translated into increased sales that outstripped those of the t-shirts. Hey, the orders just keep pouring in, but production can't keep up. Can you help us out?" Tom exclaimed, overwhelmed by the surge in demand. Offering high-quality products at affordable prices, coupled with the brand reliability he had built over time, I felt a sense of fulfillment being able to implement ideas that were previously hindered by budget constraints. As purchase notifications continued to flood in on the tablet, I realized production was nearing its limit, leaving Tom both pleased and scratching his head. "Your former company let go of a real talent. It's not just about timing or environment, it takes skill." "But I appreciate the compliment," I admitted humbly, reflecting on the journey that led me to this moment of success alongside Tom. As my smartphone rang, displaying Samantha's name on the screen, I couldn't help but feel a pang of apprehension. Curiosity got the better of me, and I nervously answered the call. "Hello, John. Something terrible has occurred. Can you return? I need you back right away. Is that possible?" Samantha's voice sounded more frantic than I had ever heard it, prompting me to listen intently. "What's happened?" I inquired, my concern growing with each passing moment. "Our couture clientele has threatened to take their business elsewhere if you're not present. Additionally, our partners are specifically requesting your involvement, and the company website is experiencing ongoing issues due to a lack of updates. Can you return promptly to assist?" Even though I had parted ways with the company, I responded courteously. "I understand the urgency, but I don't believe it's appropriate for me to directly engage with clients anymore. However, I'm willing to address the website and system issues on my next day off." I didn't formally hand over that responsibility, so I accept full responsibility for any oversights, I explained calmly, attempting to offer a reasonable solution. Despite my efforts to accommodate, Samantha's response indicated dissatisfaction. "What you mean? Just come back. Considering everything the company has done for you, why are you hesitating?" Samantha's tone was a mix of urgency and frustration. "I was let go from the company. Are you suggesting a rehire?" I questioned, trying to clarify the situation. "Don't be so arrogant. I assume you're struggling financially now, right? I can offer you the same salary as before, so there's no need to worry," Samantha retorted, her tone dripping with condescension. "Apologies for the interruption," Tom interjected, unable to contain his laughter. He mimed a gesture of encouragement, silently urging me to stand my ground against Samantha's presumptuous offer. "Do you have any idea about my current salary? I likely earn in a month what you make in a year. In fact, my current salary could surpass the annual revenue of my former company within just a few months," I calmly asserted, making it clear that financial incentives weren't a compelling reason for me to return to my old workplace. Despite cherishing memories from my previous job, I found fulfillment in my current position and had no desire to work under such leadership again. After politely bidding Samantha farewell, I ended the call. Since joining Tom's company, our operations had grown exponentially. With my contributions, we forged partnerships with outsourcing firms and attracted new talent, leading to rapid expansion. Witnessing the success of products I helped develop being embraced by consumers and shared across social media, I felt a profound sense of satisfaction. Amidst my hectic schedule, I was interrupted by a message from a newly hired clerk informing me of a visitor. Intrigued, I made my way to the reception room, where I was surprised to find Samantha waiting. "John, I'm begging you, please reconsider coming back to our company," Samantha pleaded, her desperation palpable. Despite her earnest plea, I remained resolute in my decision to move forward and declined her offer. "What happened?" "Let's hear the details first," I urged Samantha, guiding her to sit on the sofa. She appeared visibly worn out, a stark contrast to her once vibrant demeanor. "Since you left, we've been hemorrhaging customers. It's not just individual clients. Even our corporate partnerships are crumbling. I can barely cover the employees' salaries anymore. If things continue like this, we'll be forced to shut down the shop." "I need your help," Samantha confessed, her voice tinged with desperation. While I couldn't help but sympathize with Samantha's plight, it was clear that she had brought this situation upon herself by prioritizing profits over communication and relationship building. It was inevitable that partners would abandon ship if they felt neglected. "I'd like to assist, but I'm currently overwhelmed with responsibilities at my current company. I'm sorry, but I can't offer you immediate help," I responded, regret lacing my words. In a last-ditch effort, Samantha implored me for assistance, clutching at straws. "Samantha, it's time to gather your strength. Have you exhausted all possible avenues? Now is the moment to take decisive action. Rebuilding trust requires face-to-face interactions, understanding their needs, and showing empathy for their concerns. Please dedicate yourself to what you've neglected until now. It's the only way forward," I advised firmly yet empathetically. With newfound resolve, Samantha wiped away her tears and nodded resolutely. "You're right. I've made mistakes, but I'll start rectifying them from this moment onward." As I reflected on Samantha's plea for help, I couldn't shake the feeling of powerlessness that gripped me. Despite my genuine desire to assist, the prospect of starting anew seemed daunting and nearly impossible. Thoughts of the predecessor, to whom I owed so much, weighed heavily on my mind. I was determined to prevent the beloved company from succumbing to bankruptcy, but amidst the demands of my current responsibilities, I struggled to conceive of any actionable solutions. Frustrated, I bit my lip, grappling with the enormity of the situation. Several years had passed since I joined Tom's company, and during that time, our growth had been exponential. With each expansion came an increase in the number of companies we engaged with. "John, what do you think of this?" "I believe it would be perfect for an important dinner date," Samantha proposed eagerly, seeking my opinion. "It's fantastic. Exactly as I envisioned, and the fabric is exquisite," I replied, genuinely impressed. The response to our announcement on social media was overwhelmingly positive, culminating in a significant order placement. "We'd like to place an order worth $50,000 with your company for now." "Thank you so much," the client expressed their gratitude. Following this successful transaction, the performance of Tom's company soared to new heights, prompting the establishment of new departments and the hiring of additional staff. I'd played a pivotal role in developing hit products, particularly in the suit department. By infusing culture designs and fabrics as accents into our suits, we garnered praise not only from domestic customers but also from international clientele, expanding our market rapidly. The challenge of securing a steady supply of quality fabric and forging connections with culture-focused companies led me to reach out to Samantha for assistance. To my surprise, Samantha not only sourced the fabric we needed, but also provided invaluable consumer-oriented suggestions, resulting in a product that exceeded our initial expectations. "I truly appreciate your help, Samantha." "Thank you," I expressed my gratitude, noting the slight blush that colored Samantha's cheeks. "Have my efforts made a difference?" "I've learned so much from you, John." Despite holding the title of president, I realize now how misguided I was in my approach. I was consumed by a desire to assert my authority in an industry I knew little about. It was a grave mistake. But thanks to your guidance, I've learned the importance of fostering relationships with employees and partners, ultimately earning the trust of the community. "I'm confident that my company will continue to thrive," Samantha reflected sincerely. Meanwhile, Tom, who had always been immersed in his work, found himself embarking on a new chapter as he tied the knot with a significant partner. As I witnessed Tom's happiness on his wedding day, I couldn't help but share in the joy as if it were my own. "Congratulations, you're absolutely radiant," I exclaimed, admiring Tom's appearance. "Well, it's all thanks to the impeccable design of this suit. I just hope I can live up to its elegance," Tom replied with a chuckle. Sharing in the laughter, we exchanged heartfelt wishes, savoring a moment of joy that illuminated the routine of our everyday lives and transformed a fleeting occasion into a cherished memory. It was a reminder of the transformative power of clothing, and I felt privileged to be part of an industry that wielded such influence. With renewed determination, I resolved to continue crafting work that brought beauty and joy to the lives of others.